in today's session, we'll be starting our second part of our module slab, and the next part that we'll be starting is two-way slabs. You need to remember the basic differences between one-way slab and two-way slab. The first thing is the aspect ratio. The aspect ratio, that is longer span to shorter span. If it is greater than or equal to 2, then we need to design it as per our one-way slab. And if the aspect ratio, that is longer span to shorter span, is less than 2, then we will be designing it as a two-way slab. And the basic another difference is that in one-way slab, the main reinforcements are provided in one direction, whereas in the perpendicular direction there are distribution steel being provided. Whereas in two-way slabs, we are to provide main reinforcements in both the directions. So we'll be starting with our first sum in the portion, that is two-way slabs, and the question here is design a simply supported two-way slab. Area has been prescribed 3 meter cross 3 meter clear span, supported on a 300 mm thick wall on all four sides. A live load has been prescribed, floor finish has been given, and the grade of concrete and steel are prescribed in the question. Also a new parameter is being prescribed, as you can see. Corners are not held down. Now what does it mean? We will be looking in this session later on. So we'll be starting with our sum. The procedures will be the same. The step 1 will be to calculate the effective depth of the slab. So the first step of ours will be to calculate effective depth. In one-way slabs, we always use this, that is from page number 37 of our IS code. We used this table from your IS code, that is the effective length to the depth ratio, that is L by D ratio. But now keep in mind, for two-way slabs, we will be always checking the ratios. As you can see here, we will always be checking the notes section has been prescribed. So from this section, we will be describing the ratios to identify the effective depth in our case. So first we will be looking at it in detail. It says that for slabs spanning in two direction, it is already been prescribed that for two-way slab, that is slab spanning in two direction, we will be using this case. The shorter of the two spans should be used for calculating the span to effective depth ratio. That means the L by D that we are considering, we will be always considering the L to be shorter. But in this case, as both the lengths are prescribed to be of same, that is 3 meter and 3 meter, the shorter span will be 3 meter. And the second thing is very important, that is second point, for two-way slabs of shorter span up to 3.5 meter width. That means if we are given in question shorter span up to 3.5 meter, then and then only we will be using this equation. If the shorter span given in question is greater than 3.5 meter, then we will be solving effective depth using the same thing that is in page number 37. We won't be using this table, we will be using the same table that we used in one-way slabs. This table is used only when the shortest span is given up to 3.5 meter. So, and again keep in mind with mild steel reinforcement, this equation is prescribed only for mild steel. Now what changes to occur for Fe415 steel will be looking upon further. And the span to overall depth ratio, that is L upon capital D. Yeah? The span to overall depth ratio may generally be assumed to satisfy vertical deflection limit for loading class up to 3 kilonewton per meter square. So these are the two limitations. The first limitation, as you can see, first limitation is shorter span should be less than or equal to 3.5 meter. In our case, shorter span is 3 meters. So the first limitation is valid in our case. Now moving on to the second limitation, it is being given that for loading class up to 3 kilonewton per meter square. That means the live load prescribed in the question should be maximum 3 kilonewton per meter square. So here our live load is prescribed in question as 3. So again the second condition or second limitation is verified. If any of the limitation is not verified or not satisfied, then we need to compulsory move on to page number 37 and find the effective depth using the same thing that we used in one-way slabs. Clear? So keep in mind, this is valid only and only when both the limitations are verified. So for these cases, as both the cases are verified, we will be using this case, that is for simply supported slab, the ratio will be 35 into MF, and for continuous slab the ratio will be 40 into MF. As we are given here, simply supported slab. So our ratio will be L by D equal to 35 mm. Clear? But now again you need to find this, or you need to keep in mind that for HYSD bars, here is given in the IS code itself that for high strength deformed bars of grade 415 it is specified the values given above should be multiplied by 0.8. So whenever we are dealing with HYSD or FE415 bars, the equation will be 35 mf into 0.8. Yeah? So this you need to remember. It is given in the code itself, but you need to point out that which values are to be written and to be specified. So our equation will be this. The first thing will be to find mf, and for that we'll be assuming steel. Now in one way simply supported or one way continuous slab, we assume the PT to be 0.6, and for two-way slabs, whether it will be a simply supported or a continuous, we will be always assuming the PT to be 0.3. Why so? Because in one way main steel was given only in one direction, so the total content to be resisted was provided in one direction only. So our PT was assumed to be 0.6. But in this case our main steel is provided in both the directions, that is in X direction and Y direction. So the total PT provided will be again the same 0.6, but now it is being divided into two parts, that is in the shorter span and longer span. So our PT will be dividing into two parts. So for two-way slabs we will be always assuming our PT to be 0.3% in the case of two-way slabs. Clear? So this you need to remember. So from this figure, that is figure number 4 from page number 38, we will be finding the value of MF. As you can see, PT is assumed to be 0.3, so it will be somewhere around here. Fy is given in question as 415. Again, we are designing this stuff, so this will be cancelled out. Fs will be 0.58 into F5, you can find it out. So by extending this figure, extending this arbitrary line, you can get the value of MF. It is not to be prescribed to be same, it can be vary. It can vary a lot. So the final answer is MF comes out to be 1.5, and solving it we get D equal to 71.42. Now keep in mind, in the code it was prescribed, or in a IS code it was prescribed that the length to overall depth ratio. So this can be written as capital D also to satisfy our main equations. If this was capital D, then again capital D will be 71.42, but as you all know, we are always providing the depths to be higher than what we get in this equation. So either you prescribe it as small d or you prescribe it as capital D, that will not be an issue. But for Viva purpose or for objective examination purpose, keep in mind for two-way slabs, as you seen in the equation that we got from page number 39 under the notes section, the L by D ratio was for overall depth. Clear? So solving this, we get D equal to 71.42. Now in the one-way slab section, we always assumed small d to be 150 mm. But for two-way slab sections, that will be changed. For two-way slab sections, we will be always assuming D, that is our effective depth, to be 110 mm. So for whenever you are solving a two-way slab, we always will be assuming small d, that is effective depth, to be 110 mm to satisfy our checks that we will be seeing later on. So D here in this case will be 100 mm, but as you know that we are providing main steel in two directions, so the depth will also be calculated in two directions also only. So the shorter span will be considering it at X, and the longer span will be considering it to be Y. So this 110 mm we are assuming it to be dx, and this 100 mm we are assuming it to be dy. Now how these values came, for that we will be seeing a reference figure. So let us assume that this is a cross section of the slab. So this will be the number of bars provided, or this will be the bars provided in the X section, that is shorter span. But if it was one-way slab, we will be focusing in the design perspective only in the one axis only, that is in the shorter span. But now we are dealing with two-way slabs. That means the main reinforcements are provided in both the directions. This we have seen in the X directions cross section. So in the Y direction we can see this figure. That means for cross section in Y, a single bar will be seen in this cross section, the rest number of bars will be placed behind it. Clear? So these are the bars in Y direction and these are the bars in X direction, as you can see here. So now we'll be considering both these things. So as we have seen that D was 71 point something, but keep in mind we will be always substituting dx, that is this distance, to be 110 mm. Yeah, so this distance will be always 110 mm, and for y direction bars, that is this distance, will be always assuming it to be 100 mm. And as we have seen effective covers, so effective cover can be directly written as 25, or you can bifurcate it into our clear span plus 5/2. So assuming 10 mm diameter bars, our later dimensions will be 5 plus 20 equal to 25. So you can either write as effective depth directly equal to 25 effective cover, or you can mention it as this equation, that is capital D equal to 110 plus 5 plus 20. Now why we haven't substituted 100 in this case? Because as we know that 100 and 110, which of these values is a higher value? So 110 is higher value, so up to this distance 110 is already covered. So just we need to find this distance to find the overall depth of the slab. Clear? So 100 is not been prescribed or not been taken in the equation for finding the overall depth. For overall depth, we always be using the dx depth. So in this case, our overall depth comes out to be 135 mm. So this was our first change with respect to our one-way slab and a two-way slab. So now moving further on, step 2 will be the calculation of effective span or effective length. So this step will be the same as we have seen earlier too. So we first will be finding for shorter span. So for shorter span, we'll always look for to page number 34 of our IS code. You can see the equation here prescribed in this case, and it is given as two cases. The first case is clear span plus effective depth. As you can see here, clear span plus effective depth is being mentioned. This is our first case, and second it is mentioned or center to center of supports. The center or the support width is given in question as 300 mm. If it is not given in the question as 300 mm, you can assume values pertaining to your strength. So clear span, as you can see here, for shorter span we are taking it. So clear span is given in question as 3000, and the D effective depth we have taken is that it to be 110. So our value comes out to be 3110, and in the second case it comes out to be 3300. So out of these two value, it is prescribed to take the smaller value. So out of these two, the smaller value will be our 3110. So our Lx, that is effective length in x direction, will be 3.1 meter or 3.11 meter, or you can directly prescribe to be 3110 mm. But as length in both directions are same, the effective length will in both direction will be also same. So similarly we can take Ly to be 3110 mm. If the length in y direction was different to that in x direction, we will be solving longer span separately in this case. So first the equation will be for shorter span, second the same things will be applied for our longer span too. Clear? But in this case, as both the lengths are same, the effective length in both cases will be considered to be same. And moving further, the third step will be to find our load calculations. Load calculation again will be divided into three parts. First will be the self weight of slab, second will be the floor finish, and third will be the live load. So as we already know from one-way slabs, the steps will be the same. First will be finding the dead load, that will be rho BD. So this will be our rho, this will be our capital D, that is depth, and this will be our width. Width we will be always assuming it to be per meter, so into 1. So final answer comes out to be 7.375 kilonewton per meter. As the load from the dimensions always provide us the actual load, we always need to multiply it by 1.5, that is factor of safety. So our total factored load comes out to be 11.06 kilonewton per meter. So this was our load calculation. Now moving on to the next step, the next step will be to find the bending moment. Now in the case of our one-way slabs, the equation for using the bending moments was very simple, that was WL square by 8. Clear? We were using this equation, but in this case keep in mind we'll be using equations that are already prescribed in our IS code. So for that the conditions are to be checked. Now we'll be moving on to this new condition that we have obtained. It is given in the question as corners are not held down. So for that what to do when the corners are given to be held down and what to do when corners are given as not held down. For that we'll be moving to page number 90 of your IS code. So I request you all to pause this video, take your IS code and move to page number 90 because it is very important for solving a two-way slab problem. So on page number 90 you can see here Annex D is being mentioned, and Annex D, you can see the title of it. It is given as slabs spanning in two directions. That means this Annex D is specifically written for two-way slabs, and as we are dealing with two-way slabs, it is very important to visualize and to know the concepts used in this page. So here you can see D1 is mentioned as restrained slabs and D2 is mentioned as simply supported slabs. So in our case, whenever the question is given as corners are not held down, that means corners are not restrained or not picked at the supports. Clear? So for that case we will be always using this case, that is simply supported slabs. Whenever in the question it is given as corners are not held down, we will be always using the case D2, and when in the question it is prescribed as corners are held down, then we'll be using this case, that is D1, that is restrained slabs. Clear? So now it is given in the question as corners are not held down, so we'll be using this condition, that is simply supported slabs, and in the next numerical we'll be seeing the later portion, that is corners are restrained. So now moving on to the next page, it will be very beneficial for us. So from next page, that is page number 91, here these figures are very important from table 27, as you can see here. Table 27 represents or gives us the bending moment coefficients for slabs spanning in two directions, that is a two-way slab, and simply supported on four sides. So whenever corners are not held down, that means simply supported is given, we will be always finding moment of resistance or bending moment from table number 27. So this table is to be identified and the proper values are to be noted down for proper calculation and getting the proper answer of your numerical problem. And as you can see here, the mx and my equation is being prescribed. Mx, that is moment in x direction, and my, that is moment in y direction. Now in the case of two-way slabs, bending will be generated in both the directions, which was not present in one-way slab. So here in two-way slabs, we will be always calculating moment in both the directions, that is x and y. And it is given in the equation that mx equal to alpha x w lx square. W, that is our load, Lx, that is our effective span in x direction, and my equal to alpha y w lx square. Now keep in mind, this is not a printing mistake. Clear? In the case of my, we will not be substituting the effective span to be ly. Why so? Because for bending or to resist bending, we will always be considering the shorter span length. Clear? We will be always considering the shorter span to resist the bending. So to resist the bending in y direction, also we will be using the length in x direction. So for my, keep in mind, do not substitute the value to be of ly square, it will always be of lx square. Clear? So our two equations comes out to be this, that is mx equal to alpha x w lx square and my equal to alpha y w lx square. Now w, we have calculated it, Lx also we have calculated it. So our next focus will be to find the coefficients, that is alpha x and alpha y. For that we will be using this table, that is table number 27. Here in the first column it is being prescribed that this first row gives us the value of Ly by Lx. Clear? And from that we will be finding the value of alpha x and alpha y. So our first step will be to calculate the value of Ly by Lx. As we all know that Ly was 3110 mm and Lx was also 3110 mm. So solving it we get 1. So we will be using these equations as our alpha x and alpha y. So our alpha x in this case will be 0.062 and alpha y in this case will also be 0.062. Clear? So now substituting everything in the term mx and my, we get answer mx equal to mx equal to 6.63 kilonewton per meter. Now as alpha x and alpha y are same, also Lx and Ly are also same, therefore mx and my will be of same value, so no need to find my again. So my will always be the same value, that is 6.63 kilonewton per meter. So this was the bending moment calculation, which will be different as compared to our one-way slab. So moving further, our this portion, that is analysis portion, is completed. So now we will be doing a minor check up to this, that means whatever we have calculated is correct or not. Then we'll be moving on to the design of steel content. So our next step will always be to find the effective depth for flexure, and for that the equation will always be the same, that is mu equal to 0.138 FCK/BD square. Why 0.138? Because Fe415 bars are given. So here you get value D equal to 49 mm, and the provided value that we have provided is 110 mm, which is less than the what we have provided. So our equation is satisfied. So up till now the sum that we have completed is correct. So now moving towards the steel reinforcements. So the next step will be the reinforcement design, or to find the steel content and spacings. So first, as we all know that we are dealing with two-way slabs, so there are no distribution steel here. So we will be dealing with main steel in both direction. So first we will be looking forward to main steel along LX, and then we'll be looking forward to main steel in LY. For LX, D, as we all know that we have calculated it to be 110. So whenever in LX portion we need to substitute D, we will always substitute it to be 110 mm. So moving forward, the first thing that we need to do is always to identify the value of PT. So for PT, again the equation will be the same that we already seen. So for this, PT comes out to be 0.157. Yeah, PT comes out to be 0.157. Now keep in mind, whenever you are dealing with two-way slabs, keep a note of it so you don't forget in your examination. Whenever you are dealing with two-way slabs, it is mandatory to provide a bent up bars. Clear? It is mandatory to provide bent up bars. So for this you need to check a statement that we have seen in the previous section also. But in that case, if you don't provide bent up bars, that was good. Why? Because in the other axis distribution bars were present. So if you bent the distribution bars, then there is no issue regarding our main steel in the normal direction or smaller direction. But in this case, in both the axes, the main steel has been prescribed, and we are dealing with design purposes in all the direction, that is X direction as well as Y direction. So bent up bars are compulsory to be provided, and for that we need to check what is provided in our IS code. As you can see here, we are saying this case that for HYSD the minimum reinforcement should be 0.12%. We have already seen this. For mild steel it was 0.15%, and for our HYSD it was 0.12%. Now we all know that for providing bent up bars, we are considering 50% of the bars present in midspan at supports. Clear? So this statement is very important, and you need to understand this statement to solve the further numerical. It is mentioned if 50% bars are bent up near support, we always need to bend up 50% at support. At the bottom of support, PT will be less than 12. Clear? As you can see here, if we are providing our main reinforcement, that is in the mid span, if you are providing in mid span PT to be 0.157, then 50% of it will be less than 0.12, because 50% of it will be somewhere around 0.08, and 0.08 is less than 0.12, which is required as per our IS code. So it won't be efficient, or it won't be feasible to provide bent up bars if we provide PT equal to 0.157. So we will be going to in the reverse order. That is, if we need 0.12% at support, if we need 0.12% at support, then what should be the amount of PT in the midspan? Yeah? So as we all know that at supports the percentage of steel reinforcement is half of that of midspan. So if we go into the reverse order, at midspan the percentage of tension reinforcement should be double that is provided on the supports. Clear? So as we all know that at supports the minimum requirement is 0.12%. So at midspan the minimum should be 0.24. This is to be understood. Clear? Therefore at midspan moment the minimum steel that is to be provided is always 0.24%. Yeah. So whenever in two-way span, if you are getting this value, that is PT value less than 0.24, we will be always rounding it off to 0.24. Keep this in mind. Clear? To satisfy our bent up connections. So whenever you are solving PT and getting an answer to be less than 0.24, we will be always taking it to be 0.24. If you are getting value greater than 0.24, then it is well and good. Keep that value. So we will be taking PT as 0.24, and from 0.24 value the AST will be found out, and after AST the next step will be to provide a spacing, as we were dealing with in the earlier chapter 2. Clear? So this is the design of main steel along X direction. Now we'll be moving forward to the design of steel or main steel in Y direction. So for Y direction, again the phenomenon will be the same, but keep in mind the depth in this case will be 100 mm. This is the only change regarding X and Y, so the final spacing will be different than we have provided, because moment is same, length is same, width is same. The only thing that is changing is the effective depth. So again, the first thing will be to calculate PT. PT in this case comes out to be 0.19 again, which is less than 0.24. So always whenever we are getting a value less than 0.24, we will take it to be value 0.24 because of this condition that is prescribed in our IS code. Clear? So we will be taking 0.24 steel. So AST comes out to be same. Here keep in mind we have provided as per book, that is our book, it is provided as 8 mm diameter bars. You can also provide 10 mm diameter bars. There is no issue in this case. The spacing will be somewhat different, and if we are getting different spacing, then you need not to worry in this case. The answer will be the correct, as we are designing and not analyzing. Clear? So you can provide 8 mm, 10 mm, it is up to you. So next step will be to provide spacing, and if you are getting spacing that is 209.42 mm, then we will be rounding it up to 200 mm, and then finding our AST again, that is will be our AST provided. The steps we have always seen in the one-way slab, that is simply supported and continuous. So this was our major difference between our one-way slab and two-way slab. Yep. So this was our design problem regarding a two-way slab, that is simply supported or corners are not held down. So this is the exercise problem that you need to solve. Keep in mind, solve two-way slabs, because if you see in your question bank, two-way slab problems are generally being asked frequently in your examination. So in the next lecture we will be covering more topics regarding two-way slabs. Thank you.